the water needs to be moving. There needs to be something that breaks the surface tension. There needs to be movement in the water, whether it's underneath or whether it's something going into it. Something needs to be moving in the water. Now in the ocean is so vast and it's so, you know, it's moving all the time. So I mean, water movement and aeration is no big deal. That's why fish and every, you know, sea life out there basically can thrive. But in a home aquarium, we really have to make up for things like that. We have to make up for, you know, a naturally occurring waterfall. We have to make up for natural aeration, you know. So the most common way to fix that is to buy an air stone and to buy a little air pump. I have one inside my tank right now, and it works just good. You know, it does kind of ruin the natural effect because, you know, when you do go out in the wild, or if you're, you know, taking a hike and you see a river, you know, you don't see an air stone in there producing bubbles, you know, to aerate the water. You'll see a waterfall instead. So it does kind of take away from the realism of the tank, but it does provide aeration to the water, and it does provide oxygen to the fish. Now, people that are new to the aquarium hobby, they think it provides oxygen because there's bubbles in the water and that's the oxygen. Well, not entirely. The bubbles in the water are basically sending the water up. It's making the water move. If you notice that once you turn on the air pump, you'll start to see your fish swim around a little bit more frantically. You'll start to see your plants, if you have any, move around a little bit. It's because it's moving the water. That's called aeration. That's called movement, water movement, and that's what we need in an aquarium. So for those of you that are new to the aquarium hobby, you need to buy an air pump and an air stone. Now there are other ways that you could supplement for this. You could buy, say you have like an internal filter. Usually those filters have a little waterfall effect, and you can move them up a little bit, and then it'll create a little waterfall effect, and that'll break the surface tension of the water. Sometimes though, that really isn't enough. You know, you still need to buy an air stone, but if you have a big enough internal filter, which I really haven't seen huge ones except the ones that are like in koi ponds and things like that, but if you do have a big one that does create a big waterfall, I'm sure that would be enough, but it would be kind of loud. And if you had that in your living room or in your home, basically, it would be kind of irritating to constantly hear water, you know, being splashed around. So for those of you out there that are new and that have requested that I make videos about basic tips because you're new to this aquarium hobby, if you have a tank and it's fully stocked, there's a lot of fish in there using a lot of oxygen, and there's not a lot in there, not a lot of oxygen in there because the fish are taking it up. So you need to buy an air stone and just a little cheap pump. They have cheap pumps on eBay and at PetSmart and all kinds of other pet stores that you can buy. You don't necessarily have to buy, you know, the $100, freaking industrial air pump that you see on, you know, websites and things like that. Just buy something simple like a Whisper 10 or 20 air pump, something like that. That would work perfect for you. And they're quiet, and you know, they do what they're supposed to do in your water. Now, also, if you do have a tropical fish tank, also, you know, you do have to heat the water. So most likely you'll have your water about 80-85 degrees. Another thing to consider is that when the water is warmer, there's less oxygen in the water. Just like, you know, when it's hot in the summer, you notice that you're kind of like, you know, you're out of breath. It's because there's less oxygen. It's so hot, you know. Heat takes up oxygen. So if you do have a warm, you know, hot aquarium, tropical fish tank, whatever, you need to just basically have an air stone no matter what, because the water is going to be so hot. No matter how many fish you have in there, oxygen will always be at a minimum level. So if you have a tropical fish tank, you need to buy an air pump. If you have a cold water fish tank, you could wait to get an air pump, but in the future, once you get more fish, you will definitely have to get one no matter what if you want your fish to live. So thank you everybody for watching this video, and thank you for sending me your recommendations. I really appreciate it. If you want me to make a video about anything that you have a question about, just send it to me on YouTube, or you can email me at jacobtv@yahoo.com.